butchering.
We are taking it all to the round table, and at the table this week, the diverse voices of the youngest among us. Let's do some introductions first, shall we? Carlton Gillespie is a digital broadcasting student at Florida International University, involved in local transportation planning and climate change advocacy organizations, and is on the Parks Foundation of Broward board. Wow. Melanie Lowe is a sophomore honors student at University of Miami, an executive producer for UMTV's The Culture, and an anchor for UMTV's News Vision. Regina Potenza is an honors student at, where, FIU? No, UM. At UM and anchors for UMTV's News Vision as well. She's already working at 2 sports networks. And we have Tania Jimenez, who is a, drum roll please, senior about to earn her 2nd degree and is has a bachelor in psychology from Florida International University. So this is fun. You are all journalism students, which I'm sort of going to tailor the conversation to, but I just want to throw out there that we have roundtables. You've seen them, we've seen them, and this is such an amazing opportunity for viewers to really get a sense of the campus, young people, young voter point of view, which is huge. Why? Because the numbers of voters who are young are going to be huge this year. So as the only boy at the table, you get the first question. I want to, we talked a lot about with the congressmen, with the state reps. There's something going on campuses today relative from October 7th, and I want to get your perspective, your feeling. How is campus life for you? Has it changed? What do you think?
Well, campus life has been largely the same for us. I know, at least in my experience at FIU, certainly there's been a greater push for visibility from both Palestinian and Jewish students. And I think it's kind of a good breeding ground because online we can be very divisive with each other and kind of pick a side that we want to win. But on a campus, it's such a collaborative space where people can come together and hash out their differences. And I think that's really going to be the key to the problem.
Is that right? That's interesting perspective. I think from the news point of view, when we kind of dip into what's going on, I'm not sure people see that. Melanie, what do you think?
I think this is a unique opportunity for people on college campuses specifically because this issue is something that does affect people that are at the younger ages, even though it's kind of happening overseas. And you would think that most people on college campuses think these are older people in charge of what's going on. This doesn't affect me, but it feels a little bit more personal for people here at home because you're seeing friends, families affected by these things, and it's kind of divisive. Having these kind of issues happen on a college campus is really conducive to having these types of conversations for young people. I think it's especially beneficial for these people to be thinking about how their role on campus is important. Their voices are important. They want to feel like they're being heard. They want to feel like their opinions matter to people, and having these kind of divisive issues be a platform for that is so beneficial for people who typically don't feel like they're heard in the media.
Do you feel heard?
I feel heard. I have a bigger platform than most, being a part of UMTV to discuss these issues. But I feel like students on campus, I don't know, specifically at the University of Miami.
You anchor together.
Yes.
Yes?
We anchor the same show.
Yeah, the same show.
Do you feel heard? Do you feel like that too?
I think that especially with the rise of social media, particularly TikTok, where it's easy for people to gain interest and followers and viewers based on one video, that Gen Z rising has been heard. There are people who are younger now taking roles in Congress. There's opportunities for people to get their voice out, get their message out, even if it's not through a typical media channel like print journalism.
That's, Tania, the rise of social media, and do you get your news from social media? I mean,
absolutely.
You do?
Yes.
So do you feel like you are getting facts, opinion, perspective? How do you know what to believe?
Okay, so I think first of all, on campus, so we have it's Florida International, so we have people from all over the place, right?
Oh, South Florida campuses are the most diverse.
We have faces from everywhere. It's very interesting to be able to hear it from everyone. And so when it comes to social media, what I like to do is I have notifications on for certain accounts that I can follow through, and then once I get that, I do my own research. I look up different things. I look up from a wide range, just simply because, how you said, how do I know it's facts? How do I know it's not opinion?
Okay, great. I'm sure everybody listening is thinking, what a great way to do that. Mm-hmm. How many people do you know of your peers? I'm just going to throw this out, you guys. This is my dinner party. Feel free to talk. How how many people do that?
Well, I think because
By doing that, I mean, how many people see something and then go do their own research
Right.
from a variety of sources?
I think it's more common than people think. Like I said, I think social media gets into kind of a team sports atmosphere, but because our generation has such a diverse media diet in different forms, we're also more media literate because we've encountered either, from the early days on MySpace of spam messages.
MySpace seems like a lifetime ago.
Right. But I mean, we've seen misinformation spread in a number of crucial ways that have impacted our lives.
How do you know it's misinformation?
Well, you have to do your research, right? It depends on the source it comes from. It depends even from a reputable source who the source is in the article, right? It comes to a broader context of media literacy. I know that we're drilled into our heads as reporters that it's important not just to vet our sources, but to know their perspectives when we include them.
Do you watch news on television?
Yep. As Carlton said, I think the age of social media.
Is that a yes or a no?
Yes, yeah. Sorry. I do watch local news. I watch national news as well. I think we live in such an age, I don't know, specifically our generation, we've heard the term misinformation, we've heard the term fake news more and more. So I think there's sort of a level of distrust when it comes to seeing immediately things and believing immediately what you see. I think it's kind of a 50-50 split. I don't know if I'm speaking for everybody, on people who will actually verify these types of things and not just take it at face value and believe it. I think we want to believe and trust that these news sources are things that we can take to heart, but at the same time there is that level of distrust between, do we know that this is bipartisan, do we know that this is the full story, do we know that this is what's actually happening?
So there's two kinds of mis and disinformation, right? There's deliberate propaganda, which we see and we're seeing in real time, and then there's a really heartfelt kind of reporter who just doesn't know what he or she might be talking about, which is equally dangerous. And so with that, online, on the air, everywhere, how do you get your news? How do you act on what you hear?
I think it's easier now when we're talking specifically about social media, because say you tag an account, say you're doing a story about a person and you could tag their social media handle, you can go directly to the person's Instagram account, Twitter account, whatever it is, and see what they are saying in their own words in addition to the story as the reporter. So you can see what the reporter's saying about the story, you can see it from the source itself, and then you can also go to third-party websites. It's easy to type in a username of a reputable news source in a search bar. And if you're on Instagram, just look up their Instagram and it's probably at the top of the page if it's a recent story. So I think it's really easy now for people to just quickly, within 30 seconds, verify whether the story is legit or not from a good source and a reputable news site.
I think I'm kind of learning a lot from you all. I need to take a quick break and we have some more to talk about, so sit tight. We will be right back. We are in the midst of a really good roundtable with the next generation of voters, all journalism students from University of Miami and Florida International University. And Regina, you are going to the debates in Miami, the presidential debates. You're going to be there, personal or professional school?
Professional. I'm going with NBC. So that'll be interesting.
The networks that's sponsoring the debates.
Yes.
So let's talk about the Florida people in the debate. We're a local station. We are focused on former President Trump, Governor Ron DeSantis, that whole campaign trail, battling it out. And I'm just kind of wondering, I'm just going to throw out the big broad question. What do you see and what are you interested in when you hear that debate, especially between them, and throw in some others if you feel like?
Sure. Living in the state of Florida, this is the only time I have coming here for school. I think people are looking to Florida kind of as a legislative mix. There's a lot of things that Florida legislation has been doing that's been getting a lot of buzz in national news. And I'm looking for more legislation that's personal to me, more younger advocated issues, trans rights, AI, things like that that affect us on a daily basis. And I think sometimes these debates can get kind of muddled in personal behaviors and personal things that these politicians have against each other, and they don't really focus on the issues and the people that are their constituents. So I really want to see a focus on people working for the people that they represent instead of personal interests.
That's an interesting a couple of things that you threw out, because what I hear, and especially maybe from some older voters, is it's the economy. They don't want to hear about the fights with Disney and trans rights and band, but they just want to know they're going to have money. And is that a real generational split? And if so, why? Because you need a good economy too, right?
Well, I think part of the issue, especially with Governor DeSantis' presidential run, is that his highlights are talking points, right? They're national, the war against woke, the war against Disney. But in reality, he's done things that have helped, especially our generation. Like he's invested significantly in the Resilient Florida Grant Program. He's done Everglades conservation, and it's stuff that probably won't come up on that debate stage because it's not the hot button issues. So in a way, it's like we haven't felt heard about the issues that are important to us. The economy certainly is worrying for us, but right now we're trying to get by.
You know, that's an interesting point because he actually has brought up some of those. But when you talk about politics and personality, I mean, former President Trump, Tania, he can say, I've witnessed him talking policy. I've witnessed him cracking jokes. I've witnessed him bashing people. His audiences love it no matter what. So is it going to be policy driven for you, or, you know, in large part, people are entertained by that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel his biggest thing is entertainment. It's what can I get clicks? What can I get, you know, the reaction that I want from my voters?
It's working for him. He's a front runner.
Yeah, I dare say that's a problem. So what the thing is, instead of focusing on issues, things that we're the next generation, right? We're the ones that are coming up. So I need to hear that these things are going to be helping me in my future, right? So that's the things that I want to be listening to. And how she mentioned, it's mostly talking points. It's like pointing fingers rather than pointing fingers at what's going on and going future. So listening to it, I hope I see more of that.
So you know what's interesting about talking points is because as journalists, we try to get people off their talking points, but talking points are a thing because it's a very effective way to be trained to get out your message in a very short amount of time, right? So do you then, Regina, do you vote politics? I'm hearing sort of a political spin. I probably could guess where your politics lie, but for you, is it a party thing or an issue thing?
I think as journalists, you know, we try and be bipartisan. So I like to do it on policy by policy rather than just overarching person as a whole, because these are politicians. They have political agendas and stuff. But as journalists, we want to kind of tell a story as it is, not how as it should be, even if politicians are trying to sway you one way or another. So I think for me, it's policy by policy, but at the end of the day, it is one person you're voting for.
What about as a vote, not as a journalist, but as a voter? And okay, go ahead.
Sorry, no. As a voter, I think it's the same way as well. I mean, at the end of the day, you're voting for one particular person, whether or not you agree with every single policy that they are planning on enacting. So you kind of have to go with who you align with the most, because there's going to be two front-runner candidates. You have to pick one at the end of the day. And even if you don't agree with everything, you've got to go with who you think you most agree with and whose policies align with your beliefs.
Why don't you are among the engaged. Melanie, do you feel like your peers on campus, outside of your journalism classes, are as engaged, and might they just sit home and not vote? I mean, we have local elections actually coming up this week in 4 cities, in Miami-Dade. Why do people just not vote?
I definitely feel like there's a lack of voting in local elections specifically because people don't see those types of representatives as important. You know, when they really are making the infrastructure of the cities what they are.
Wow, I think the local ones could be the most important.
They are the most important, but because national news is so marginalized all the time and it's what people are seeing all the time, that's where all the drama happens. That's where people think the biggest decisions are made. So that's where most of their interest lies. I do think younger people specifically don't appreciate the value of local elections. I do think that my peers specifically do need to understand that a little bit more. I'll even admit that before becoming a journalism student, I didn't know it as much.
Why? Because are they boring? Is it a boring thing? No, I'm being totally serious.
I don't think it's easily accessible. Like, they're having their meetings and their board meetings. These politicians, the local politicians, they haven't come to campus. They don't come to, so University of Miami's in Coral Gables. I haven't had a politician come to Coral Gables or nearby kind of promoting what they're talking about, meeting with students, which I think if they did, that would be incredible to them, but also beneficial to the students so they can know what students want changed and kind of get those votes and be symbiotic relationship.
You were going to say?
Vocabulary, I think another is the biggest thing. They don't talk in layman terms in a lot of times. If I go to a college campus versus, you know, a normal a debate, I'm not going to use the same words. And so that's the thing, how she said that it's not easily accessible, just simply because if you come here telling me all these big words and stuff, it's not going to go into our peers as it would with layman terms.
So you're saying people should, elected officials, politicians, meet you where you are. And
know
they got
who you're representing is basically what it is. Know who
what
you're,
she said.
know who the people who are voting for you are. It's important that you gear your messages and gear your policies towards the people who are going to be putting you in office, and that includes younger people as well. And I think that's what a lot of local politicians overlook.
Regina, Melanie, Carlton, Tania, you are amazing, and I hope you will be back. I may just have you back for more roundtables. You'll see. I know you love to weigh in and text and email, and I want to hear that because I think you've provided some amazing insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.